Hello everyone, welcome to Game Brigade. My name is Bryan. Thank you for joining me. Today we are doing Should You Back? Dang it, that is twice that I've said that. We are doing Back or Skip. Man, why is it so hard to come up with my own titles? Anyways, we're doing Back or Skip on only 3 titles today. We want to make it short, but I want to be more detailed in terms of my thoughts, because these are some of the bigger games of the week, and I thought it might be more interesting for you guys to check that out rather than a million games. So let's dive into these 3 titles. Before I get too far with that, though, I do want to say thank you to our channel sponsors, intotheAM. As you know, they are sponsoring me for the month of November, and right now is their big Black Friday sale, which means you can get 30 to 80% off on their select graphic tees. I would check it out because I went on their website later today and I found shirts up to $5. Like, they were seriously these types of graphic tees for $5. So if you're looking for a sweet shirt, you want to support the channel, please check out intotheAM. Use my code BOARDGAME for an additional 10% off on top of the Black Friday deals. You can't beat that, guys. You literally can't beat it. So check it out. Let's hit the first game. Okay, so starting off the first game, we're going to be taking a look at Heroes of Might and Magic 3, the board game off the video game. This one is a hard one for me. I've played Heroes of Might and Magic. I feel like it was like 20, 25 years ago. I don't know. I feel like it was a really long time ago that I played this on the computer. So I don't really have those nostalgia rose glasses in terms of looking at this game. So I want to give you my opinion in terms of, is this worth backing? Is this something I'm considering, adding to my collection? And what are my thoughts in regards to that? First off, the campaign page, I hate this opening thing. Yeah, it's like showing you what, some unlocked crap, but I want to see more. That's just a personal criticism there. But basically, what is Heroes of Might and Magic? Well, it's a game where you are going to be playing a hero, and you're going to be traversing this tile set. It's a hexagonal tile board with 7 different locations on each one. I wish there was a better way sometimes to see this. I really like the hex system here. I like the tile flipping. I like how it distributes out and kind of builds upon itself. I like that kind of stuff. I think it's kind of cool. I like the art. It kind of does remind me of, I don't want to say the video game, but it reminds me of the world that this is kind of part of. I think it's pretty cool. And then from there, you are going to be building your town, which will allow you to recruit more units. And effectively in Heroes of Might and Magic, at least when I remember from my memories of playing it, you would go around recruiting units and eventually fighting monsters and doing things. And the system was very much how this board game is, kind of a versus duel, like, you're kind of like a Final Fantasy Tactics like setup, but very old school, much more older than that. So this is that's kind of what you're doing here. You're going to be going around the board, collecting items, getting resources, doing things, eventually building up your town as one of your actions, to recruit more units, to fill up your board, to build a deck, because there's also a deck building portion of this game, to where you eventually will get to the end condition of the scenario you're playing, which might be controlling a certain amount of stuff or defeating the enemy players or something like that. Who knows? There's a whole bunch of scenarios. So that's the basics of the game. The combat system, to me, is probably the weakest aspect of it. Let me see if I can find any type of thing on this pledge list here. Okay, I finally found it. Here's where you can, as I was saying, you build your hero, assemble your army. Thank you for finally having this. And then you're going to dominate the battlefield. Now, this is showing the miniature version. I am not sure if I like the way this looks. I like the miniatures. I'm not going to lie. I like the miniatures. I like high fantasy. This is the kind of stuff that I grew up loving. But I don't know how much I like this look with the cards and the miniatures. I'm not so sure. But effectively what happens is you're going to have each side spawning on either side. And then you're going to have a movement value that you can kind of slide around and move your troops. You will then have a base value of what your troop does. You then roll this dice for a modifier, and then your hand of your deck building cards, you can play a card to affect or modify that attack as well. And then you'll check the defender's defense stat, do some basic simple math, and if you deal more, you kill. If not, you deal some damage. Very simple, very basic. Now, they do have a advanced mode, which looks a lot better down here. This would be much more akin to what I would like to see. It looks like you got all your boards and stuff set up down here with the miniatures just on the field. That looks cooler, but it also looks massive, and it's like, what's going on here? So overall, what are my thoughts? Keep this short, keep this sweet, because this is not a should you back. This is a back or skip. I am currently skipping on this title. Not because I don't think it looks good, but it also doesn't look good enough. When we talk about our collection, we're talking about the games that we need to be maintaining in our collection. Good is not good enough. We need to be going after great games that can be worthy of our shelf spot. That way we're not inundated with a massive bloated collection. And when I look at Heroes of Might and Magic 3, I don't know if I see a game that, and I'm going to switch to this screen. I don't know if I see a game that really says that it's going to have the oomph to be an exciting, enjoyable adventure. That's my only problem with this one. There are aspects that I like, that I'm like, ooh, that sounds like it'd be kind of fun. But when I'm looking at the cost here, at the collector's pledge, €200, that's roughly around $210 American. Plus, we're going to be considering shipping. Plus, we're going to have to consider the space this is going to take into our collection, because there was a saying I like to follow through it. I like to follow this saying. I learned it a long time ago, that when you say yes to something, you have to say no to something else. And when I like to utilize that with this board game space, is that if I say yes to Heroes of Might and Magic and all of its expansion and all its bloat, I'm going to have to say no to something here, and I'm going to have to sell it. And so that means this game has to be better than that game. And I don't know from what I'm seeing right now that can totally justify that, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm seeing enough from what they're presenting to me to be a great game. I'm also not totally sure about the company behind this, Archon Studios. I haven't played any of their games. If we take a look at their previously created games, none of this stuff, Wolfenstein, I've experienced or played, nor have I heard very positive things. So it's a studio that doesn't have the highest regard for me. It's a game that kind of looks kind of mid to me. Just not enough for me to really want to get behind it and back it. So hopefully you guys appreciated that aspect. Let's go to the next game, which is, let's go to the very top, Elden Ring, the board game. See, that's a much better, I like that splash art. That's a much better splash art. And this one is by Steam Forge Games, currently knocking it out of the park. I've talked about this in Discord, how it drives me nuts the way the board game space is sometimes, especially with Elden Ring. I feel like it's just been massive FOMO all over my entire subscription feed, and I can't imagine what everyone's feeling like, because it's like hammering, Elden Ring, Elden Ring, Elden Ring, get it. And it's like, can I take a break? Can I take a second? And so I really didn't even take a look at this campaign until I decided to film this video to give an idea, because I wanted to be fresh. I didn't want to be spoiled by all these people talking about it, all the talking heads, even though I'm a talking head. To kind of talk about it. So Elden Ring, the video game, the board game, I have this video game for my Xbox, but I haven't actually played it in the sense that I would give me a way to give you an expression of what this game is. I usually pride myself in having a very good knowledge, usually of IP-based video games, because I play a lot of stuff. Elden Ring, I've created about 6 or 7 characters, but I haven't gotten past, like, there's a boss in the beginning of the game that kills you. You cannot beat it. You have to die, and then you wake up in water. I stop there for some reason, whatever reason. Because I'm not happy with my characters. Whatever. We're getting way beyond the point, Brian. We're rambling. So I don't know Elden Ring, and I think it might be because I'm a little intimidated by the game, because of what I know about the game. I'm intimidated by it, and I just don't know if I want to commit to it. I digress. The Elden Ring board game by Steam Forge Games is trying to recreate Elden Ring in a tabletop simulation, whatever. And I enjoy that aspect. There's parts of this game that do look cool. But what I don't like is that it's kind of like split up in different interesting ways. So they're going to start off here with the entry pledge coming in at $90. Pretty expensive still for an entry pledge. giving you basic tiles, basic units, basic things. Basically, this is the light version of the game. Hey, you want the game, but we're not sure if you want it. We're not even going to give you stretch goals. You don't even get stretch goals with this one. $90, and you're not even going to get stretch goals. But what this game is, basically, you are going to be revealing these tiles. You start off with one, and the tiles that you're drawing from are going to be random, but they are selected from a group for the scenario. So which means there are going to be locations or NPC reveals that are going to be directed for that scenario. So you are going to reveal them. You can reveal them immediately. You can reveal them way late. And this in vein with Elden Ring, sometimes you might run into a boss that you were not intended to fight right away. And that's kind of like what Elden Ring kind of teaches you as a player. You might run into a boss, and he might be riding a horse, swinging a huge axe, and he's not meant for you to fight. You're not ready for it. Maybe you have to explore and go around. And that's kind of what I see here when they're drawing randomly, because you might draw your end boss right off the bat, which is kind of interesting. I kind of like that idea. But we have a few heroes here. They're going to give 4 different heroes: the hero, the prophet, the astrologer, and the bandit, for your variety. Now, they actually swap this around. I think it's interesting how they handle the heroes. We'll talk about that a little further. And then here are the villains that you're going to be able to fight against them. I'm almost making this a should you back. I don't want to make this a should you back, which I'm very much turning it into a should you back, because I was going to do a should you back. But we'll keep it kind of brief. Then you have the core pledge here, 179. It's the Elden Ring core pledge. This one's giving you more of like what I would expect. You're getting a lot more of the stuff. This is what I expect for the game. Obviously, it's the core pledge, but they're still only giving you 4 heroes, and I think it's interesting because you get the astrologer, you're getting the prophet. Those are redos, but then you're getting the vagabond, the samurai. So I think it's interesting how they're breaking it up. I originally was looking at this and thought, oh, you're getting more. You're going to get the original 4 plus new 4. And I said, wait, astrologer, prophet, we already got those. And so when I scrolled up here to the board here, you can see what this is. Obviously they're saying this is what comes in it. There's only 4 heroes. So that's kind of interesting that they're doing that. So anyways, should you back? Skip it, back or skip? Back or skip? This is not should you back. Back or skip? Is this a game that I'd back? I think there is value here. I think the game looks pretty good. But Steamforged Games has historically been a game company that I've been hesitant on. And I've attempted to not back any of their products. And I remember I've talked about this a lot, from Horizon Zero Dawn, Dark Souls, the original version, Resident Evil 2, the board game, all the way through Resident Evil 3, which is actually one of the first games I covered on the channel, Bard Song, Monster Hunter World. I finally have caved, and I backed Resident Evil, the board game, because I love Resident Evil. I love a lot of these IPs, but I really like Resident Evil. I wanted to back it, but I haven't gotten it yet. We're still waiting on that. So it's hard for me to even give, and look how much has come out since then, right? It's hard for me to give an opinion about the industry, about this company who has had a tumultuous history, who has done poorly with a lot of their games, who takes a lot of these IP-based games and kind of hashes them. But I do know that they're trying to be better. So take that as you will. I know they're trying to be better, and a lot of other creators are supportive of them. So personally, when you're looking at the pledge that I would most likely get, because that's what I do, it's going to be this all-in pledge that's $433. It's a hit, man. It's a huge hit. And you're looking at what they're claiming 90 hours of campaign. I don't know, man. It's just so many games. I have so many other campaign games. I've got Aeons as Trespassy. I've got Chronicles of Drunagor sitting over there. You got Oathsworn. You got so much stuff. And it's like, does this game, again, I got to say yes to this, which means I got to get rid of something else because this is going to be massive. And it's another situation of, does this game provide enough? I think it does. I think this is a game I could back, but it's, again, a huge investment, and which makes it tumultuously kind of not sure if I want to do that or not. And so my recommendation is skip. I think there's a lot of other games out there. This is an easy FOMO game that can grab you, but my highlight for this one is going to skip it, mostly because I think that there's other games that are cheaper that can give you as much fun or enjoyment as this one does without so much bloat. So there you go. We're going to talk about the final game now. We're way down at the bottom. I do this every time. Let's refresh the page. It's easier just to do that. The Last of Us Escape the Dark by Theme-Born Games. I am a huge Last of Us fan. I've played both games. I loved them. And I was kind of excited to see what this game does. Now, the thing is Theme-Born makes very interesting titles. Always kind of this black and white design. Very much more laden on the theme, which is cool because Last of Us has an incredible theme. If you are not aware of what Last of Us is, which is totally fair, not a lot of people do, it's a world where all of a sudden a virus breaks out, and you play as Joel. And Joel has unfortunately had some problems. I'm not going to say any spoilers with this game, but this virus that breaks out really made people kind of crazy, and eventually transformed them kind of like not a zombie, but almost like those plant zombies. Like there's an ant that can have a plant replanted in its head, which turns him into a zombie. That's real life. That's what the concept of this game is kind of from. So these are kind of biological infected humans that are now unfortunately like zombie things. And so you are trying to bring Ellie somewhere. I'm not going to don't want to say any spoilers in case you want to enjoy the game, because it is an experience. And Last of Us 2, which is highly like people didn't like it. Last of Us 2 was very hard on the critics, I guess. The critics were hard on it. I loved it. Incredible game. Very, very good. Anyways, I was very stoked in coming into this one, and I wanted to see how do they get implementing it. And the thing is, it's very weird. It's a very abstract way to approach the game, but I do think they're doing it in an interesting way that is thematic and RPG driven, but it is also very light in terms of gameplay. Essentially, what you're going to be doing is you select your heroes. I believe there's going to be 6 different heroes you can select from. The other 4 that are not the Joel and Ellie are pretty much side characters. They're just people you're going to meet along the game. Other than, I think, Tommy, his brother, most of them are just side characters. But effectively what you're doing is you're trying to reach the ending goal up here, which is Jackson. And you are going to try to move to different locations that are also locations from the game. So you got downtown, university, sewers, etc. And what happens is when you go to a location, you're going to take an action. And if you do like an exploration, you're going to explore and you're going to flip the card over. I want to see if we have an example of that. It's one of these cards. You're going to flip these extra large cards over. And that will have a scenario that you're going to have to complete. Let's see if I wanted to see if they have any. I know these guys are going to show because they do well. Here we go. So you go to the place, you flip the card, and you're going to have a scenario. So this is that RPG element. They have very thematic games. And so you're going to read it, and you're going to make decisions as a group. Okay, do we want to sneak past the gate, or do we want to try to barter with the people? And then you're going to roll based on your ability checks, because you all have different types of skill ability checks. And you will take your results and go from there. Now, and that's it. I mean, that's pretty much it, And then if you roll a bad guy, which is a threat card here, you might have to fight a clicker in this situation. And you're going to kind of move through. And this game is soloable, but I believe it's more enjoyable with multiple players because you're going to be making selections. And you have to try to get there before day 12. The game looks interesting, but it's like, man, is there enough here for me? Again, it's hard because normally with these backer skips, I'm like back because I'm backing everything. These 3 games, all 3 games are games that I like. All 3 games are IP games, which is kind of interesting. But I'm not sure. Of all the games, The Last of Us is probably the one I'm most interested in playing because it's unique and different for my collection. But I also don't know if it's worth backing. It's almost like I would love to wait on this guy and get it at retail at a cheaper price. There are 3 different pledge levels. You have the basic. I wish I can go up faster. You have this one. You have the standard edition at £65, which is what are they converting pounds to? $78. I remember when the pound was 2 to 1, $2 to £1, so it's kind of funny to see how close they are together now. I love the standard edition cover art here for The Last of Us. I think this is super cool. You got the board, you got the characters. Here are those characters I was telling you about. And you got the cards. But here's the thing I want to talk about. This is the reason I'm a little hesitant of it. And it's kind of taking me back to Outer Rim, Star Wars Outer Rim. And that is replayability. How many replayability things are there going to be for me to enjoy this game? So you have 40 extra large cards. Those are the cards for the locations. There's not that many locations. I don't even think that means there's 10 per location, right? Because we could kind of scroll up here. How many locations are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 6 locations. I'm trying to figure out, like, look at that because it's kind of broken apart here. Trying to figure that out. So it makes me nervous to be like, how much can you replay this game? Star Wars Outer Rim had the same problem where after you played it like 6 or 7 times, you started hitting the same beats and you knew what that quest was. Okay, well, I know if I do this, I need to do that. And that's what makes me nervous here because you have the 40 cards, 100 small cards. You got the dice, that's fine, whatever. Then you have the collector's edition. I hate this art. I was super glad to see that this was a slipcover because I was like, this is ugly. I would not want to put this on my shelf as a display because it's just kind of spooky. But I like this one. But really what this is all really adding is the miniatures here, which are really cool looking, great miniatures, but I'm not sure if this game warrants miniatures. The clicker is really cool. I really like the clicker miniature here. They're all clickers, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, then you get an insert, whatever. I mean, I could baggy this game just fine. The dual layer player boards, I wish that was for both editions. Like, come on now, let's not skimp out too much, but come on now. So here we go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, whatever this is. Like, it makes me feel like there's not a lot of stuff. So let's cut back to my main camera. The Last of Us: Escape in the Dark. I'm putting it on. I want to play, but I don't know if I want to back. Elden Ring, I'll play it, but I'm not going to back it. Here's my magic again. I would love to play it, not going to back it. So this is like one of the first weeks where I have all skips, which is kind of shocking. What do you guys think? Am I being too hard on these games? Let me know in the comments down below. And what do you think? Also, appreciate you guys watching the videos. We've been doing really well, so thank you guys for supporting the channel. Thumbs up and all that stuff if you want to really support the channel. Subscribe if you're new. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. It is Thanksgiving week, so I want to do a Should You Back on Elden Ring, but we're coming short on time, so that means it would be close to coming out on Thanksgiving. So you have to let me know, is that something you guys want to watch, or should I skip it, or did I already do the whole thing here on the episode, because I sure felt like I was getting there. Anyways, this is Bryan from Game Brigade. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.